Did you know that in Tom Brush's world, there's no right and wrong? That's right, there isn't. Now you see why I like him so much. We will explore why right and wrong may limit you on today's Antidote.
Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Hey, Tom.
Good morning, Bob. There was a pause there. What was up there?
I kind of lost my place. So I've gotten back. This is the first weekday that I've run in a couple of months, and everything is sort of weird in my, It's
or different.
Different, yes. Just feels, I think I got a little of an endorphin rush going right now, and makes it harder to focus in some ways.
So you're giving everyone a casual warning that this might be a unique show.
It could, aren't they all?
They are all unique. This might even be more unique than usual.
Fair warning.
So, good morning, everyone. You have been warned. This is today's Antidote, our daily broadcast and podcast, where we will have a conversation around a weekly topic. This week's topic is a word's value. And today, I've been looking forward to this for a long time. We are going to discuss the words right, not your right hand, but actually right and wrong. And so throughout that discussion, if you have thoughts or ideas around this, please feel free to comment. Whether you are listening on the podcast, and we know that that's hard to do, although you can go to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, or
LinkedIn Live.
And there you can share your thoughts and ideas, because we know that it'll add value to our show. And at the end of the show, Bob and I will each offer our one thing, our today's antidote, to help you move forward from where you are, take your next step, and figure out how to get closer to the success that you desire. It will also help someone else, likely. And so feel free to share yours as we share ours, because we know that when we put value out in the world, we're able to benefit others. So in a moment, though, we're going to dive into our conversation about right and wrong. Before we do that, though, we are going to start with our celebrations. Bob, what are you celebrating today?
I'm going to celebrate the joy of sharing time watching sports with people. I went to the Orioles game last night, went with someone and a younger person, and we had a really great time and really bonded over the baseball game and the shared experience of seeing two home runs hit by the same player, a really great fielding play, several really great plays. And it was just really fun to have that shared experience. And I was thinking this morning that was brought together because of a sport like baseball, and same with football and basketball and lacrosse and hockey, you name all those sports. And it just brings people together for a shared experience. How about you?
I like that. So I am going to celebrate again. I think this is what I celebrated yesterday. I can't remember for sure.
Wait, we can do do-overs?
I don't know that's a do-over. It's just
that doesn't feel right. That feels wrong, Tom.
It's a plus one.
Oh, it's a plus. I see what you did there.
Thanks for letting everybody else be aware of what I was doing. So mine is that, yesterday they were calling for bad showers. And so, as many people know, I officiate girls and women's lacrosse. So they canceled my game and moved it to today, which meant that the game that I had scheduled for another assigner today, I had to reach out to that assigner and say, are you going to be able to replace me? And, and you get worried about those things and what's going to happen, and frustrated that I lost a game. And at some point it's out of my control. And I think that it's so easy to focus on and worry about those things that are out of our control, rather just accepting it's out of our control and moving forward. And so last night I was very comfortable with the fact that I got to have a quiet evening. I went and worked out at the gym, which was great. Hadn't been there in quite a while. And I'm feeling that this morning. And, it was an opportunity to do something different rather than just stew at home because the weather never came to where we live. And so you easily could have played the game.
It was a crazy night in the Baltimore area. They closed one of the school systems early and nothing really happened. And they canceled evening activities in a couple of the school systems and nothing happened. It actually was a gorgeous evening. And did you see the nice full moon?
I did not see the moon.
Oh, it was out about 10:30. It was out. Gorgeous, gorgeous. I ran
Excellent.
with it in the background this morning.
Nice.
So
All right.
we have a national day today, Tom, that we have to recognize.
Okay. What is that?
It's National Pack Rat Day.
Pack rat. And we have to recognize that?
We do,
Why is that?
because there are the pack rats out there, the people that save every sheet of paper, every memo, everything, every note, every square of receipts for 100 years. The pack rats out there. They're
Are
the
you
ones
one
that
of
keep
them?
the storage lockers in business.
Are you one of them?
No, not really.
Okay.
I do have a tendency when it comes to notes, in terms of notes that people write me. I've got lots of letters from way back, and I used to have, I wrote thousands of newspaper articles. I used to have like a copy of almost every paper that I did anything interesting in, and I got rid of those about 3 years ago, just totally gone.
Interesting.
And they stayed with me from the late 80s, early 90s until 3 years ago. Yeah. Big boxes of just, yeah.
My best friend growing up's dad, I think, had every issue of Sports Illustrated ever.
Oh, I thought you were going to go a different direction.
No.
My friend's dad had every issue of Playboy. for about
Your
30
friend's
years.
dad did?
Not my dad, a friend's dad.
No, my friend's dad had every issue of Sports Illustrated until I forget when. I mean, I think he stopped collecting them when he got sick in maybe 2011 or 2012. Something like that. It was quite the collection, though. All right, pack rats.
No, keep going.
Yes, pack rats. Enjoy your day and find something that you find of value. There's probably a lot, and a good place to store it.
I like it.
All right, so let's dive into our topic today, Bob. A word's value. The word yesterday we talked about the word but with one T, B-U-T. Today we are going to talk about the words right and wrong. Do you want to kick us off?
I would love to. I'm going to just cue this up for you. So before the program, I was talking to Tom about my day, and I have to do something. And I said, if it goes wrong, I don't remember what I said, but he immediately said, oh, this is going to be fun to talk about in about, 5 minutes. So here we are 7 minutes later. I'm curious about your views on this, Tom. I know this is really important to you. And I thought about it a lot. I think there is a place for right and wrong. I really do think there are certain things that are right. It's right for me to stop at a red light. It's right for me not to rob a bank. It's wrong for me to rob a bank. It's right for me to, and these big things. But some of the littler things like, did I have the right breakfast today? Did I have did I dial the wrong phone number? Big deal, right? And that's how I would shade it. There's very moral fiber rules of life that are right and wrong, and they're acceptable, but we've kind of loosened it up so everything's right or wrong. And especially in this polarized world that we're in now, where it really does feel like everything is right or wrong. There's probably someone right now that's saying, I can't believe these knuckleheads are talking about this topic. It's so wrong that they even have the platform.
And if that's what's real for them,
right?
I'm okay with that. And I think that's the challenge. It's interesting that you started out with things that are we could supposedly morally agree on. And, so you talked about going through a traffic light. So is it, quote unquote, wrong to go through a traffic light if your wife is deep in pregnancy and need to get there in a hurry, or for a police officer or ambulance or fire truck to go through it? Is that right or wrong? Or was there a construct created to say, to avoid a whole bunch of accidents, we're going to have stoplights, and and if you run through a stoplight, it's illegal to run through that based on a law that was created. Does that make it right or wrong? And then you talked about those things that are morally. Aren't morals something that individuals create and that there are discussions about whether, somebody says, is that morally right or wrong? Okay, that's a judgment that people make. Now, granted, you could say that there is a majority of people who would agree with something that is quote unquote morally wrong and sort of universally accepted. That's a construct that we created that, to me, is a lot about people's ego.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's about their ego, are we doing it to build up our ego or our pride? Or and the opposite side is to take away someone else's. And so I think that it just leads us at a point of judgment. And that point of judgment doesn't help us move forward. It just usually holds ourselves or someone else from being likely to move forward. What do you think about that?
I don't really have a thought. It's honestly, right and wrong aren't the things that I really spend a lot of time thinking about. Which is interesting in one regard, because I think I define so many things that I do as right or wrong at my detriment. So I would say this is an idea that's coming to me a little fresher than most. Usually most of these things we've talked about a lot. This one is one that I'm finding my way through. And I think there's another facet of this that comes to mind, and that is we often think about there's a right way to be a leader. There's a right way to run a business. There's a right way to deal with employees. There's a right way to do all these things that we kind of think there's this right way. And I think often the right way, if you will, eludes me. And as I've gotten older, I've started to realize that there isn't a right way. There's my way. We're each doing it our unique way. And so that's where I'm really trying to think through this more. And if I'm doing it my way, whatever that is, it could be right one day, it could be wrong the next day. It doesn't matter, because it's just my pathway.
What if it's just real for you?
Correct. But I think there's a lingering belief in my head that there's an easy way. I said but, didn't I?
You did. And this is why I think this is a great
Pick your words for the day. You can't have them all.
I think it goes back to the value we place on words. And again, before the start of the show, you talked about some project you have to do. And if it goes, you said wrong.
Yes.
It's on me. Okay. And I think, again, we use the words right and wrong oftentimes, I think, without really thinking about the value that it has for if we're saying it, who we're saying it to, or someone else is saying it, is how are we taking it? How are we receiving it? And I think that those are the things, and I think we don't see them as such a big deal. Whereas if I came up and punched you in the face, that action would likely, I would think more about that.
Mm-hmm.
And yet in a lot of ways, judging someone or something as right or wrong is kind of like punching you in the face. I just don't think that we think about it in the same manner. And I think, and so we use words without as much thought often as we do actions.
Tom, we've got a comment here from my sister. Good morning, Bob and Tom. With the word wrong, it reminds me of the Happy Days episode where the Fonz and Richie have an argument where the Fonz is wrong and has a hard time saying the word wrong and says it's the opposite of right. Your gut feeling will jump in to let you know when it is.
There's nothing that makes me happier, I think, than today that we had a Happy Days reference. So
do you remember that episode?
I do. Well, I do remember that the Fonz, like some other people, had a really hard time using
like
the
some
word
other people.
wrong.
Are you mean me?
No. Other television shows.
It was just the way you said it. I was like, oh, okay.
Why would you think I was talking about you?
I don't know. It just felt that way.
Well, I just think so I think that's an interesting concept, which the more I think about it, I actually respect the fact that the Fonz would choose not to say he was wrong, quote unquote wrong. More that
supposed to be a highlight of all the episodes. Today, Tom is actually advocating for the Fonz. Hey,
he was a cool guy.
And
he did a lot of good things.
There's probably 80% of the people watching or listening to this who have no idea who the Fonz is.
It's probably correct.
Look it up. Arthur Fonzarelli.
Yet he would, in doing that, be saying that what I did was just what was real. And here's, I think, the crux of the issue is that.
Bravo, Tom. I gotta give you credit for pulling this together. This is really good.
Right and wrong is a reaction, is a judgment on an action that we take. Yeah. Fair enough?
I agree with that.
And which sort of assumes that we knew what the results were going to be before we started. When in reality, we don't have any idea.
Well, I don't know if it's if I can jump in. It's not that we knew what they would be or should be. It's that we expected them a certain way.
Okay. That we had an expectation.
I think there's a difference. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen with this phone thing I'm doing today. I'm expecting there will be problems.
Which is an interesting perspective to look
based
at.
on doing phone systems in the past.
Correct.
So I have experience and a perspective colored by prior experience.
Correct. Which then, because you are concerned about what the outcome is going to be, and if the expectations are going to meet your expectations or not, the opportunity to judge those. Mm-hmm. And I think also times we worry, we don't take an action because we're worried that either we or someone else will judge it as quote unquote right or quote unquote wrong. Mm-hmm. And that those thoughts and ideas are the things that slow us down, mm-hmm. that stop us from taking an action, taking a step, and trying to move closer, on our journey to find our own unique pathway to success. And I guess that's where I find less value in the words right and wrong, is I don't think they help us move forward or take an action. They help us stay stuck. And I think for so many people, if they stopped worrying about that judgment that either they or someone else will place on them and take the best action they can, mm-hmm. with the knowledge, experience, and perspective they have at the moment, mm-hmm. to move forward, they are going to get closer and more likely find that next step to help them move to whatever it is they want to achieve or desire. And so that's, I guess, whereas I look at the value of the words, I see the challenge with the words right and wrong.
I think
when taken in that context, not
we
make
also
a right
use
turn.
It with other people.
I'm sorry?
We also use it a lot with other people. We judge other people. We've talked mostly about internal judgment here, but I think there's also the element of this where it's like, Tom, you didn't do that right. Bob, that opening wasn't right. You did it wrong. And we tend to cast that out as if we know, when, as I think through this, the more I'm on my unique path, I can't tell you what's right or wrong for you at all. Literally, now I could say to you, Tom, based on my experience, this happened to me. you might want to keep that in mind, but I really can't say. But I think we are prone so much to saying someone did something right or wrong.
Yes. And that judgment, which is all based solely on your perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So why not say, what's real for me is that introduction didn't come out the way I think you wanted it to.
Right. Which is an opening to a discussion.
Which is an opening to a discussion and allow for communication to better understand why is that the case. And
Right.
you have an opportunity to explore it. And
or not explore it also, right? Hey, Tom,
Sure.
appreciate that. I got things to do.
Or this is what is real for me and I want to get that out. You know, I think there would be a lot of people who would say to me that there is a right or wrong. And even considering that there isn't is wrong. Okay.
Yes.
So does that mean now I am stopping to consider that? What is the conversation we can have at that point? I mean, I guess I could try to share that with them, but they've already made a judgment. And so how do you have a conversation? This actually happened. We were having a conversation about something. And with someone, it was like a group discussion. It was actually on a podcast. And I shared this idea. And someone said, well, this is what's wrong. I don't agree with this. I'm like, oh, okay. I can continue to share. And they're like, I still don't agree. I'm like, all right, that's wrong. Okay. If that's what's real for you, I'm fine with that. Just doesn't seem like we can have a further conversation about this concept because you have already made a judgment on what you believe about it. So how am I ever going to change your mind? I mean, we see this all the time, especially when it comes to political things, that people have already made their, doesn't matter what you have to say, what evidence you bring forward, what thoughts or ideas or value you share, someone is going to define that based on something and say that you are right or wrong. When in reality, for all of us, it is what is real for us.
So what's your one thing today?
So my one thing is that I believe we use the words right and wrong in an effort to build our ego in a comparison to someone else or knock down someone else's ego, that it's all about our ego and our pride. We don't want to be seen as being wrong. We definitely want to be seen as being right. And because of that, we either continue down a path that someone believes is right, even though many others might be on the other side of that. Or we stop doing something because someone says it is wrong, even though if we continued, we might find the thing that we were desperately seeking.
Guilty a whole lot of times. I'm very prone to not doing things when people tell me it's wrong.
Don't judge yourself.
No, I just know that's one of the things that I'm prone to, and I think it's probably inhibited me from doing things that I probably could have done.
Okay. And
so I think my thing would be that no one really knows what's right or wrong for each of us. I don't know what's right or wrong for you. I barely know what's right or wrong for me, to tell you the truth. And the more I think about it, the less it makes sense to even think about right and wrong, because what's the barometer? And if I'm right, how does that help me versus wrong? It like you said, just gets us stuck. So I think the thing for me to do is try to just, okay, I did this, and then ask you 3 questions.
And I think that what happens is that the status quo, the echo chamber, is what people believe is right or wrong, rather than what's real for them. And I think that, to me, is where the whole idea of a renegade comes from, is that I am doing what's real for me. No matter what others may judge of it, this is what I believe is the best that I can do, given my knowledge, experience, and perspective, to try to follow my own unique pathway to success.
Wow. Well, I've got an ice cream headache the size of Mount Rushmore from all the thinking I've done in the last 24 minutes. We should probably wrap it up here, Tom, because I'm serious. I'm like totally overwhelmed mentally.
That's okay. Well, we hope we haven't overwhelmed our listeners or our viewers. And we would love to hear your thoughts, your one thing today around this topic. That is, what's real for you? We won't, at least I'm not going to, I don't speak for Bob, but we won't judge it. It's an opportunity for you to share what's real for you. I know. And except I don't want to speak for you as well.
You can speak for me. I don't mind.
I'm not going to do that. And so we look forward to hearing your thoughts and ideas. Please feel free to share them in the comments. You can also share them if you want to. Our conversation all week about a word's value. We'll be having that inside our Ring of Renegades Facebook group. So we hope that you will join us there and continue on in the conversation.
I'm going to throw another comment into the mix. Are my words based on pride or humility? Asked Troy Tolley. Before we speak, ask these questions. Is it true? Is it needed? Is it helpful? Oh, I like that. And that third one, really, is it helpful?
I love that as well. I would take it in a little different spin. I would say, am I adding value?
Okay.
Do I believe what I'm sharing is adding value? Not does somebody else see it as value? What do I find as value? And if I share my value, I have the opportunity to impact others. That's my thought. But thank you very much, Troy. We appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you. That was great.
And again, like Troy, please feel free to share your thoughts and ideas. We look forward to seeing you inside our Ring of Renegades Facebook group, or we'll see you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m., early edition week for our next episode of Today's Antidote. Have a great day, everyone.
Hey, embrace the renegading you, and watch out. It's National Pack Rat Day. You might have whatever. I don't even know what to say.
So I would say that if you feel like you enjoy saving those things, find something special to save and a special place to put it.
Or to look at today. Right?
Or look at.
Go into your vast storage facility and find that one thing you never pull out.
And if what's real for you is that you can't stand the thought of being a pack rat, go find a box that hasn't been opened in a while. Get rid of it.
Nice.
All right, everybody. Have a great day. We'll see you soon. Thanks for listening to Today's Antidote, powered by the Renegade Success Network. The Renegade Success Network helps you confidently create your own unique pathway to success. To learn more about the Renegade Success Network and how you can take your next step, follow us on Twitter, connect on LinkedIn, or join the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. For full details on how you can join our community, go to renegadesuccessnetwork.com. Embrace the renegade in you.